What's going on, everyone? My name is Eric. I make kicking videos from time to time. I was a former collegiate athlete. Now I coach and help others learn how to kick field goals and punt and do all that fun stuff in hopes of inspiring the next generation and also giving the platform to help educate others that are looking to educate themselves if they may not have the resources or anyone to turn to. That's kind of why this whole channel was created. So today's topic is a really exciting one, and I'm really pumped to be able to share this information with you guys because it's a topic that not a lot of people talk about. And that simple topic is using your hips on a field goal or a punt. We'll kind of cover the good and the bad of using your hips and how that applies to field goals and punts. So stay tuned. So the first thing that we're going to talk about in terms of using your hips is more or less the bad way to use them. And when I say that, there are people that make this work. There's professional kickers like Billy Cundiff is the first guy that comes to my head, or Stephen Hauschka. They're very accurate in a lot of instances. Like, again, they are professionals, but the problem is if they do happen to hit the ball in the wrong way and over rotate too much, they're oftentimes going to shank the ball pretty hard, as we've seen in some of their games where, you know, you type in worst missed field goals and their name will pop up in those examples. And again, they're great kickers, they're very talented. I know they're great people, but their technique is one that's very hard to replicate because there's a lot of moving parts that go into it. So what I mean by that is, I'm a lefty. I'm going to demonstrate most of that real quick, but when they come in to swing, and most kickers that I see that come from a soccer background, they've got such an aggressive twist where if the ball is right here, they're coming in with so much motion that it's very hard to time up the contact correctly, where your hips are right where they need to be at the right time. Because if you over rotate, the ball's here, but your hips are pointing off to the left or to the right, you know, they're not lined up, you're most likely not going to get a lot of energy or transfer on the ball, and you're likely going to push it off to the side. Or if you come too early with your hips too quickly, you're over rotated now, and you're very likely going to pull it off to your opposite kicking side. So, you know, for me as a lefty, over rotation would lead to the ball going off to the right. So again, ideally, when a field goal kicker comes in with a soccer background, they're very heavy on their twist. But what we want to try to do is keep our train tracks in line and make sure that we're keeping everything consistent on our approach. So don't need to think any harder than you need to and make it harder on your body. We want everything to be very simple for our body to work in the most efficient way possible. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you have the ball right in front of you, like the camera is the ball. I would put imaginary train tracks all the way to the ball. And what I'm going to do is when I approach, everything is in line. I'm not going to twist to my left or to my right as I come up to try to generate power and try to time everything correctly. I'm going to keep everything very consistent and very smooth, coming in very still, so that whenever I come in, my body hasn't used any energy that it doesn't need to make contact with the football. So coming in, everything will stay smooth, consistent, and as I come in, my hips are in the exact same spot they were when I first started, and now it's a matter of just coming up through the ball with that. So the next part that we're going to touch on is the difference between swinging your hips and pushing your hips. So traditionally, like we talked about with the soccer style kickers, they will twist their hips too much, and that will lead to a over rotation. It's very hard to time it up correctly. And if you're off by even a quarter of an inch, you'll very likely push it either way or pull it. If you're early on your rotation and you hit it, your hips are rotated before your foot actually hits the ball. Or if you're late, where your foot hits the ball but everything is back, that's going to cause a huge issue. So instead of that, let's focus on keeping everything where it needs to be from the beginning. So going to an example real quick, let's say the ball is right in front of me. As I get set in my stance, what I like to do and what I like to teach my kickers is keep your hips locked in, or more so primed and ready to go from start to finish. Because a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll have their butt disengaged and sticking out almost as they're set. You're having to get ready as you come in. But instead, why don't we just get ready from the beginning so you don't have to do that later? So instead, we'll pull our hips in a little bit, pull your belly button to your chest, kind of compress it a little bit, almost as if you're flexing your abs. I don't need you to like overthink this and think you need to like brace everything, but you just want to engage your hips a little bit more. So whenever you're in, everything is ready to go, and you simply keep that posture the whole way through. So whenever you come in, your hips are still engaged and you can push up, through, and forward with your swing instead of trying to time it and swing across, and God knows where the ball is going to go. So I'm not sure if you caught that, but what I mean is pushing your hips up through the ball instead of trying to time it up. That's the difference that a lot of people haven't been doing or haven't recognized since they've been kicking. So again, as you come in, instead of thinking go around it or twist it, why don't we think engage our hips and swing up and push our hips up through the ball. So we go up and forward. That's the direction that we want our leg and body to go instead of trying to over rotate. And again, a very simple trick or tip to use or utilize whenever you're in your stance is thinking of keeping everything locked in and engaged. It's a very slight difference, but you go from here to here, and what that's going to do is that's going to allow you to engage your entire body, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your quads all at the same time, so that everything is ready, and you just simply maintain that the whole way through. And then as you come in, you swing and you bring everything up again and drive through the ball. So the last little thing we're going to touch on today is, why are you getting so much height on your field goals but not enough distance? Or why is it barely making it inside the uprights? Let's say as a righty, I'm kicking and I'm barely crossing the right upright. It's just getting in there, but it's not accurate enough every time. It's very likely that your right hip, or for lefties, your left hip, is not pushing through the ball enough as you make contact. So as a righty, I come in, my right hip is very likely pointed back or to the right of my target, which is straight down the field right now. So if I point and keep everything there, my leg comes, but my hip stays for the longest time, and then it gets through, and we call that being late. Then you're very likely going to have a high spinning kick or one that barely makes it through the upright. So instead, again, what we want to do is keep everything on its train tracks the whole way through. Let's say the ball is here, my plant foot's here, I'm on my pecker in between the plant and the ball. That's the line of direction that we want our hips to be in. So we keep that there the whole time. We simply come in, swing, and let our body naturally push ourselves forward through the ball. It's a difference between, pushing and swinging, right? So the difference is we push forward, everything going forward, versus a swinging motion where everything is falling off and to the right or to the left. Now the same thing with punting, right? We don't want to try to swing across our body left or right whenever we're coming in. We want everything to go up as we bring our hips and leg as our follow through. So from the side as a lefty, I'm coming in and I'm making sure that I'm pushing my hips up as well as my leg, right? So everything is coming together, right? And the cool thing is, you don't have to think too much about this, because you could realistically just have the mental note that you want to keep your nose over your toes, and then you just engage your hips just a tiny bit. So as you come in, you're making sure that your hips are locked and loaded. You're not like standing back like this, but everything is a little bit more athletic and engaged. So nose over toes, hips a little bit of an engagement. So whenever you come in, your steps are very consistent and compact. They're not like too big because you're leaning back and you're basically striding. So if you go nose over toes, hips engaged just a tiny bit, step, step, pop it, lock it, and drop it
like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
I'm just kidding. But thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know below. Like, comment, all that fun stuff. Subscribe. Please share this with someone that might feel the feel that this would be valuable. And, you know, obviously trying to get the word out about this channel, and every little share counts, and everything helps. So again, appreciate you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.